The Targaryen who sits the Iron Throne is not just a king or a queen. They are a protector of the realm.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Ruben, formerly known as Beau Oliver, joined here today with Aaron, and we are back to review House of the Dragon Season 2 premiere, Episode 1. That's what a premiere is. A Son for a Son. And we're back after a 2-year wait, but I think everybody's happy to be back, happy to hear that theme song, the new opening, the new threads that they stitched together. And, the marketing has just been absolutely crazy. I think one of the best marketing campaigns for a movie or show in a very long time. People are just really eating that stuff up, all the different locations, putting up their flags, choosing their sides. I mean, Aaron, how are you?
Doing well.
Excited for, I want to say Thrones, but excited for Dragon?
Yeah, I'm excited for Dragon.
Nice.
The opening credit scene, whole sequence, much improved, I think. Improved.
Yeah, no, it is better. The first time around, you couldn't really tell what was going on. This one was a bit easier to make out the moments.
It was just nice to look at.
Yeah, it was. It was very clean. I still hate that they used the Game of Thrones theme song.
Come on, when that hits, it doesn't get you hype?
No, it just makes me actually disappointed.
Like when the Stark theme hit and we saw Winterfell again and the wall, I was like...
I doubled down on my disappointment.
Really? I was getting...
Yeah, and the hinting towards the White Walkers, I'm just like, get out of here, the Night King. What a bum. The Jason Tatum of Westeros. Got carried by all his boys. Oh, no, but also, welcome back to all of our listeners who tap in for the Game of Thrones and House of Dragon videos, and I mean that sincerely. Welcome back. As you can see, I'm now Ruben, formerly known as Beau. I think, Aaron, I guess for the sake of keeping things consistent, you could still be a monkey.
Okay. That works. I mean, you're still the alien. You just changed your name or got recast. I still don't even know what you are.
Yeah, that's fun, right? Yeah, Alien Cricket. I remember I used to mention that in the intros. Now I'm getting a little emotional, sentimental.
That's the Thrones. It brings back the good old days.
Yeah. And so, let's get into this episode, right? A Son for a Son, picking back up off of the end of Season 1, where Lucerys unfortunately got snatched out of the air by Aemon and Vhagar, which was, to me, just the moment of Season 1, because of, obviously it was tragic because he's a young boy losing his life, but I didn't expect them to go that goofy with it. There's just big monsters in the sky attacking each other, and it was awesome. And then going into this episode, watching this episode play out, I felt like it had some of the problems that the second half of Season 1 had, where some of the scenes, it feels like they're just biding their time, waiting to get to that significant moment from the source material. And because the source material wasn't written to be a narrative, I think some of those in-between scenes, the writing struggles. It was good to see, Olivia Cook back as Alicent Hightower. Her performance continues to be very strong. Emma Darcy didn't have a lot of screen time in this episode, but made the most out of those emotional scenes. But yeah, what did you think about this episode overall?
I thought it was okay. I think especially the ending, what you just talked about with that big moment in Season 1, you kind of got the feeling, obviously, if you knew the source material, that this would be that moment for Season 2, and it was kind of underwhelming. I guess if you want to start with the good or the bad, I think, it's hard to say, like, a scene where a child is murdered isn't, like, gruesome enough or kind of underwhelming, because I don't know if I didn't have any expectations or prior knowledge going into it, maybe it would have been, but like ever since I read that moment and we got news of this show happening, like this was the moment I was like, in a kind of a sick way, wanted to see, because it just was that impactful in the books. And here it just kind of came and went without any real impact for me personally. And I wonder if there's going to be a difference between how book readers and show watchers receive that final scene. Because when you look into what happened in the book, I mean, the amount of like the level is just completely it's on a different level. When you talk about Blood and Cheese going into that room and having her pick one of the sons while they're awake and then killing the other one and saying like after saying that your mom chose you to die, I'm going to keep you alive and kill the other one. Just the emotional damage and scarring that's going to cause that. I mean, there's obviously going to be a negative effect as far as the witnessing that and being a part of that, but just the level of intensity was just so much higher in the books, and I was kind of expecting that, and I kind of just felt underwhelmed when it was all said and done.
It was just awkwardly done in terms of the writing and direction. And like you said, the intensity wasn't there for that moment. And the way it does play out in my mind when I was reading it, it feels just a lot more chaotic, a lot more quicker, where I don't even know if in the source material it's initially a hit on Aemon and they just settle for Jaharis because that's who they happen to find. But yeah, all of the setup, blood and cheese, the way that they infiltrated the castle, there was no tension there. There was no suspense. You never felt like they were going to be caught. They kind of seemed really stupid. It's like Scooby-Doo. You go in this room and I'll go in this room. And
even the lead up, like even having that one scene with Jaharis in the council meeting.
Yeah, I hated that in hindsight. Aegon likes Jaharis.
Well, that's another thing I'll get into with Aegon, but with this moment in particular, maybe an episode or two in, like maybe save it for episode 2, or be like, I don't know if building up Jaharis and the relationship with his parents and reestablishing them as a family unit probably would have helped in terms of the impact of that scene, because you're kind of just thrown back into it, where if you haven't watched since 2 years ago, you're kind of like, wait, are they married? Like, I thought that was his sister, but like you're kind of fuzzy on some of the details, I think, for some viewers. And it might not fully click that this is like a little family unit within this huge world and within the Targaryen family, and build that connection. And you really don't even see Jaharis. Like, I don't know if you could point out that little 2-second shot of him sleeping and be like, oh, that was the kid from the throne room earlier. The council meeting earlier.
Yeah, not to rewrite the scene, but dragging the kids out of bed, showing them in fear.
Yeah,
the mom's
it's sick
crying.
To say, like, I want to see this, but this
that's
is
how
the
it's kind of done.
shit.
Yeah.
And this is like the show never shied away from these intense moments. I mean, we had somebody stab a pregnant woman to death. Like,
yeah, these are supposed to be guttered
brutal
people.
Yeah,
these are disgusting, dirty people. That's why they're doing this dirty work.
The important thing about this is it builds sympathy for the Greens. And that's when the whole campaign, like you were talking about before, which side are you on, red or green? As a green enjoyer, you have to be a fucking psychopath to want the Greens to win, given what we got in season 1, because there's no redeemable qualities from them. And that's one of the biggest things I had from season 1, is making Aegon the way he was, where I think they could have just left him as like an aloof kind of kid that's just thrown into the situation, where I think in this episode they did a good job of showing him being like, a little goofy, but loving his child, but hanging out with his friends, just being like a regular kid thrown into this situation where he can garner some sympathy. But then you remember what happened in season 1 and you're like, fuck this guy. And I think that would have been more fun to play with, Team Green, Team Red, if Aegon was not necessarily likable, but just sympathetic in some ways, where he's just a normal kid thrown into the situation, and he just has to do his best to adapt with all these different forces pulling him in each and every way, where it's pretty clear cut that he's a piece of shit in the show.
Yeah, I did find him, just in the vacuum of this episode, likable, because I thought that a lot of the humorous lines belonged to him, or the humorous moments, like even when they called him Aegon the Magnanimous, I thought that was ridiculous, and the fact that he acknowledged it. And he suggests maybe, or one of his boys says maybe Aegon the Generous next time. And when he sees Larys coming up the stairs and he lets out a groan, he's like, this freaky guy. He continues to be such a creepy presence in the show. But yeah, and Aemon, his character too, just when he walks in the room and he starts, talking about his strategies. He doesn't even have a seat on the council, but he's got an eye patch and he's got the biggest dragon, so that's good enough. And the scene between him and Otto was interesting as well. Otto continues to be an interesting character, the way that he's just trying to keep the morale up and keep everybody in check. He's got a lot on his plate and he seems stressed out. But yeah, Aegon and Aemon, I thought actually were the two kind of best parts of this episode.
Right. And I think there's definitely some good moments. Like I said, the Winterfell, just for like my own personal nostalgia of why like I fell in love with Game of Thrones in the first place, and just hearing that theme, Winterfell and all that.
Henry Cavill sure looks different.
But I did kind of like their interactions with Kragan. Like I thought it was just fun for me to see a different Stark in a different era, but still kind of hold that Stark value, you know? Like I saw him and the way he was speaking and what he was talking about, like, yeah, that's a Stark. And then I thought a very good scene was when Jace comes back to Dragonstone and he's trying to fulfill his duty or report what he's done, but he kind of breaks down and his mother embraces him. I thought that was a very well done scene.
Yeah, that was a scene that made me feel really bad. But you got to toughen up if you're going to be the king. Holy shit!
I mean, his brother just got eaten.
Brush it off. Short memory. Get back on defense. No, I know. I do feel bad. And like I said, Emma Darcy was really selling those moments when she finds the dragon wing. Heartbreaking.
Yeah, I feel like her...
And Daemon telling Rhaenys, get your ass back on that dragon. We're riding out to King's Landing.
Well, I feel like Emma Darcy for the first 2 seasons on their face, like throughout these intense moments. And you can... I think at the end of season 1, a lot of fans point to that one screenshot or sequence when she finds out what happened to her son, and here you can see just all the emotion coming out and kind of almost getting a glimpse into the inside of the brain and the mind and see what they're thinking in those moments. But I think that's a performance that I think continued to be one of the best into season 2. And I think like Olivia Cook has always been great as well. The performances, I don't think there aren't. I don't know. I think they've all been pretty great so far for the first 2 seasons. I even think Sonia Mizuno was actually better as Mysaria. Because I know a lot of people were making fun of her accent in season 1. I think she was a little better this time around, and she's a good actress, so that's not surprising.
Yeah, she is good. Yeah, I was kind of just being reminded about all the different players and all the things that they did. I totally forgot that she kind of helped the High Towers in that situation.
Yeah, I think for a lot of it was good setup. I love the strategy meetings and kind of seeing the map and what houses they're trying to get to their side. The importance on Riverrun and Harrenhal. That stuff's always going to get like a positive reaction over me because it's what I love most about the shows and the books and all that is like the strategic planning and the geography and what's advantageous. I'm like, when he comes back, he's like, yeah, the Vale pledges their support. All we need is to give him a dragon. I'm taking that deal 9 times out of 10. Great deal.
Yeah, they got dragons to spare. The dragons ain't going anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like giving them something that, yeah, take the dragon. They're all going to be gone soon anyway. Well, yeah, we'll take the Vale. 2,000 Starkmen, that's a good grab, even though they're a little older, but I feel like 2,000 old Starkmen are still 4,000 Southerners.
Oh, yeah, dude. I actually would have been more hype. Give me the old vets.
Yeah. We got Ray Allen.
Yeah, seriously. Old man strength, dude. Old men win championships.
But yeah, I think at the end of the day, though, no matter like all the little things I like, when I think back to this episode, I'm always going to point to that ending as just being a little disappointing. Not even a little disappointing. I think it's just disappointing.
Yes, I do. And I don't want to be so harsh because I know that there are people out there, like you said, who didn't know that was coming. It reminds me of my reaction to a lot of the moments in The Last of Us. Spoilers for The Last of Us on HBO. But when Joel snaps, I remember so many people telling me, I did not see that coming. That was amazing. And I thought it was so telegraphed. And this wasn't telegraphed, but yeah, like you said, it was just incredibly underwhelming. Even the reaction from Helena, I thought that performance, it's not on her. I think that was just more of a directing thing. And the back and forth between Blood and Cheese, I just found them to be so goofy. I wanted them to be disgusting looking. Just
gross
monsters of men. This is the job that they were born to do. This was their time to shine in the lore of House of the Dragon. And maybe for some people who just didn't know it was coming, it really hit. But like I said, if it was done in a way where you just drag these kids out of bed and it's just a shocking moment where they're like, what the hell? I was just sleeping peacefully. Now I got a knife to my neck. I'm a little kid. That's enough. You don't need to set them up as like their parents love them. I think we got that.
Dude, I was just at my brother's bachelor party.
Oh my God. What happened?
And these 2 guys broke in. No, I'm joking. But I was talking to a couple of guys my brother's friends, like, because they know, like, I watch all this stuff and whatever. So we're talking about House of the Dragon, and I'm like, yo, there's gonna be a moment early on in season 2 that's gonna just get ready. And now I feel like a fucking fraud. I wouldn't listen to me ever again.
They're gonna hit you up like,
Yo, did it happen yet?
Yeah.
Like,
Can't
when's
wait
this
for that
crazy
moment.
thing is gonna happen? Yeah, I think everything that went into it as well, but I also think the way it plays out in that moment is just so much darker. And yeah, her reaction, I know and source material too, she is a very off character, right? You wouldn't expect her to have a reaction of if that was like Cersei in that situation, right? Where
Right.
maybe a little more fight, or maybe a little more screaming, or a little bit more. I mean, even in the source material, she says, "Kill me." Here, she just offers a necklace. Like, it just felt a little off.
Right. I wanted more panic in the moment. That one. It was just, that wasn't a moment for her to be weird. That was a moment for her to be the most human she could be, because she's put in a situation that she wasn't expecting.
No, it's like a Sophie's Choice, but it's like no real build up to it, and there's no choice.
Yeah. The whole scene to me was just incredibly awkward. Also, why you have to kick the dog? So fucked up. Every time there's a goddamn dog in this show, I'm like, what are they going to do to it? Crown the dog king, kill Aegon.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, we'll have the dog ride the dragon.
Well, oh my god, that'd be awesome. Fucking like that'd be Air Bud in this universe. I thought it was funny when in the first scene between Aegon and Helena, when she's talking about how she's afraid of the rats, and the whole room doesn't know how to react. And I forget what Aegon says, but I thought it was really funny. He was basically like, "Yeah, she's a fucking weirdo, huh?"
No, yeah, like
in
you
the
said,
nicest
Aegon,
possible way.
and even in like the posts, like after the show, like the way they were talking about Aegon and the humor that this actor brings to the character, like I liked all of that. It's almost like I kind of like want in my headcanon to like okay, this is like a new but it's not. So you can't really forget. And maybe some people like did forget like what happened in season 1 and could view this character as just kind of like how I would want him to be viewed in like this situation, as just like not an equal to Rhaenyra, not like too good on each side, but just like someone he doesn't really know what's going on.
No, yeah, he doesn't. And he was trying to give the guy his sheep back, and Otto's like, we need those sheep.
So yeah, him just chilling on the, like, if I was king, that's what I would be doing. I'd just be chilling with my boys on the Iron Throne. You guys sit under me, of course. Don't forget who's king. But yeah, come up with cool nicknames, come up with let the rat catchers pass by. So yeah, we don't care about them.
No, he truly is clueless when he's talking about Aemon. The scene before that, Aemon was going behind his back and conspiring with Kristen Cole about how they were going to try and sway the king. And then it goes to Aegon, and he's like, "That guy's so loyal; he'll do anything I say. He's like my best friend." So yeah, that's why I found his character in this episode to be so entertaining, because it was like Aegon trying to be king. It was almost like an Always Sunny episode. Like that would be the title. Aegon's king. How the hell did this happen? So yeah, totally unprepared, totally out of his element, and also wanting to step out of the shadow of not his father, but of Otto Hightower, him getting that realization from Loras that he is the true king. And then going back to Otto and Alicent's relationship, it's always been one of the stronger elements of the show, because they seemingly have the same goals, but Alicent is still holding out this hope that Rhaenyra is just going to come on over to King's Landing and put her dragon on a leash, bend the knee, and then it will be all happily ever after. And Otto's trying to let her know, listen, we got to kill this chick. And Alicent seems to be like, yeah, no, I get that now. And I did find it interesting that everything he was cautioning them about is what Team Black was doing, acting impulsively. As soon as Daemon gets the news about Lucerys, he wants to storm King's Landing, and he's chewing out Rhaenys. And same thing with Rhaenyra, because I think that she was, it's human to grieve, but even Daemon says it, she was kind of not attending to her queenly duties. And even setting Daemon on that path, of course, Daemon didn't have to go that far.
What do you say? The mother agrees, but the queen was a bore, though.
Yeah, and then she comes back, and her first command is, she's kind of just ignoring all of the strategies and the plans, and says, I want Aemon. Is that the most valuable thing in the moment? No, but I guess that's what happens when it's war between family. It becomes very, very personal. And even the way that they shot it at the end of season 1, it was a mistake by Aemon. He was trying to bully him and antagonize him, and I don't think he had the intention of killing him, but when you're playing with dragons, you get burned. So yeah, they kind of made all the mistakes in this episode, and it looks like just seeing the, on the next to come, Aegon's reaction, that it's his turn to act impulsively, because we saw him at the small council meeting. He really loved that kid.
Well, that's what I do enjoy about like this dynamic of it being so close. Like everything is so reactionary and personal, and it does cloud better judgment at times. And I think it leads to funny, like not funny, but interesting dynamics too within these sects, because like we saw Daemon, very reactionary. I mean, I love how he's just down to do whatever Rhaenyra wants, but I think a more level-headed person would have been like, she wants Aemond. Okay, so let's develop a plan. Like, let's do this the right way, not just go in and hire two bums off the street to go into King's Landing. And I'm sure next week we're going to see a very reactionary reaction. Does that make sense? A very aggressive reaction from the Greens, because it's just that personal. And that's where the mistakes are going to lie. And we see, they've mentioned it at least 3 times this episode, how important it is for Aemon to be at King's Landing and guarding in case they come with their dragons. That's why he can't go to the Riverlands, can't go to Harrenhal. And we'll see if this leads to a reaction where they're like, all right, Vhagar, we don't need you. Go elsewhere, do something crazy and reactionary.
All right, guys, before we get to the second half of this review, we're going to take a quick break and shout out our sponsor for today's episode, and that would be ExpressVPN. Surfing the web without using ExpressVPN is like not having a case for your phone. Most of the time, you'll probably be fine, but if you have butterfingers like Aaron over here, all it takes is one drop, and then you'll wish you spent those few extra dollars on a case. ExpressVPN is the best option for those looking to stay safe on the internet, making sure that there are no cracks in your internet security. When you log into public networks, your sensitive data like banking information, passwords, IP addresses, they're all at risk, and hackers can make a small fortune per person by selling your personal data on the dark web. But ExpressVPN creates a secure, encrypted tunnel between your devices and the internet. Their private networks provide a layer of protection that keeps hackers from stealing any sensitive data. ExpressVPN is also extremely easy to use. All you have to do is fire up the app, click one button, and you're protected. Plus, it works on all devices, phones, laptops, tablets, and more, so you could stay secure on the go. So head on over to expressvpn.com/nerdsoup to secure your online data today. That's expressvpn.com/nerdsoup, and you can also get an extra 3 months free at expressvpn.com/nerdsoup. I'm just so hung up on the blood and cheese moment. And a lot of the changes from the source material during season 1 were justified by saying, Archmaester Fuckface was an unreliable source. But sometimes the material, the way it's written, is good enough to where you go, yeah, let's just, instead of trying to, and I felt that they did this a lot in season 1, they're like trying to outsmart the source material.
Dude, I got it right here. An eye for an eye, a son for a son. We only want one to square things up. Won't hurt the rest if you find folks, not one little hair. Which one do you want to lose, your grace? Once she realized what he meant, Queen Elena pleaded with the men to kill her instead. A wife's not a son, said Blood. It has to be a boy. Cheese warned the queen to make a choice soon before Blood grew bored and raped her little girl. Pick, he said, or we will kill them all. On her knees weeping, Helena named her youngest Maelor. Perhaps she thought the boy was too young to understand, or perhaps it was because the older boy, Jaehaerys, was King Aegon's firstborn son and heir, next in line to the Iron Throne. You hear that, little boy? Cheese whispered to Maelor. Your mama wants you dead. And then he gave Blood a grin, and the hulking swordsman slew Prince Jaehaerys, striking off the boy's head with a single blow. The queen began to scream. That's insane.
That is not how it played out in the show, and I think if it played out that way, it would have been better. And I do wonder, it's sometimes these writers think, oh, I'll put my own spin on it, and I'll make it my own. But I don't know. We'll see. The reaction, I'm interested to see. I'll never read the comment section on this video, so I won't see it there. And my mom watched, so I'll ask her later.
No, because you hate to be like Will in the books guy, but I do think it was just and I've forgiven. You can go back and watch many of our reviews of Game of Thrones specifically, or even House and a Dragon, the amount of changes and stuff that I either liked or have forgiven and just accepted it as this. I just don't think it was executed as a scene properly when you break it down.
Yeah, Game of Thrones, one of the strengths, it's not the only reason people loved it, but it was these moments of absolute sickening shit happening. And sometimes they played it up too much, for even George's liking in the original Game of Thrones, but that's part of the Game of Thrones House of the Dragon stew. It's not everything. Like you said, some of our favorite scenes have always been people sitting at tables and talking strategy and trading witticisms. And then there are other moments that just absolutely take you out of your body. It's like an out-of-body experience because of how fucking horrifying it was.
Well, that's the scenes everyone points to. Either season 1, episode 9, Baylor. You go to like these dark moments, like obviously the red wedding, the purple wedding, these shocking, gruesome moments that stick with you, and that's what people say, holy fuck, this show's different. And like I said, like I did like some things of the episode. As a season 2 episode 1, I thought it was good. Save that final scene. I think it could have been a lot better, a lot more memorable, much grander way to kick off your season 2 after a 2-year hiatus.
Yeah, and Kristen Cole's got the best job in Westeros at this point. All that shit that Allison talked about Rhaenyra and her extracurricular activities, and her telling Kristen, we can't be doing this. And then she's right back on the horse at the end of the episode.
Yeah, what did he do this episode? Just had some lunch, drank some wine, and then ate some dinner.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's so funny how much he just still fucking hates Rhaenyra. I don't even know if he loves Allison. He just hates Rhaenyra.
Yeah, no, that's why he's the perfect sort of misogynist in this world. It's just all of his ambition is fueled by being spurned by Rhaenyra because she wouldn't run away with him, which is still one of the funniest scenes of season 1. She's like, when I'm going to go to Essos and eat oranges with you, motherfucker. That's
He's
boring.
Like, oh, I guess I'll just kill myself then.
Or just conspire to kill you for the rest of my life.
As much of kind of a loser he is, I do respect the game of having one baddie turn you down just so you kill yourself only for another baddie to save you. Like you go from Emma Darcy to Olivia Cook. You're like, all right, I guess I'll live a little longer.
Yeah, he's like, I guess I won't kill myself. I guess this is all right.
No, it was actually the other actors then. That happened before the time jump. Well, regardless.
Yeah, I mean, they did hook up? Yeah, I forgot about that. He wanted to leave the Kingsguard because of that, right?
Yeah, he was ready to throw it all away.
Yeah, that was so dramatic. What a piece of shit that guy is. He's funny.
Yeah.
It's always fun when somebody's fucking with a Lannister. That's nice. Even though I came to really enjoy the Lannister characters near the end, because they were some of the best characters, but that family, they're just such fucking sycophant pieces of garbage.
It is weird when you look at different eras of different characters where it's like I'm sure there were very shitty Starks at certain points, and but you always just associate Starks as they're good guys. And Lannisters, same thing. It's like obviously with Tyrion and Jaime being fan favorites, but the Lannister, you just think pompous, rich asshole, no matter what the situation is.
Yeah, and like you said, Tom Taylor, who plays Cregan Stark, he had the accent, he had the look, he's got the hair, he's got the sword, he's got the fur, he's got the wall. I guess they ended that policy, huh? 1 in every 10 men of every great house. That is kind of a great little piece of history, is that as the years gone by, the wall just means less and less, because even at this time period, it's like they're still into the superstitions, you know.
No, it's a dump by the time we get to Game of Thrones. Only the Starks really fuck with it.
And even John, when he gets there, he's like, damn, Ned really just fucking lied. Ned was talking to him like this was the wall from 150 years ago. This isn't your father's wall anymore, son. But the wall, I mean, it is cool to see it.
When John goes like, we've guarded the wall for generations, and Jaime's like, is it we already?
God, they were fucking, nobody's spitting like that on TV these days. That's why that scene, once again, it just, I can't help but think about not only the disappointment with how Game of Thrones ended, but the fact that we're probably never going to see this story end, even in the books. So it just makes me, I love the Starks, obviously. I love everything they stood for. But it just makes me roll my eyes, man. It was like in season 1 when they're talking about the prince who was promised with Aegon's prophecy. Give me a break, dude. That shit is... If they had nailed it, those moments would be amazing. Because then it would just make you want to go back and watch it. But you don't want to do that. So, yeah. It was cool to see him. And I'm excited to see, Cregan Stark in the future. because we're not done with that character. But I thought, the chemistry between him and the actor who played Jace was pretty good. It really convinced us that even in this brief meeting, these two would get on with each other because they both have that sense of honor and their shared histories through their families.
Yeah, I liked how he was kind of like stroking his ego a little bit. It's like, well, he wouldn't just bend the knee if he didn't know, like, if he didn't respect Aegon. He's like, yeah, nah, your ancestor was a bitch. Once he saw that dragon, he fucking bowed down, boy. That's how I would be.
Yeah, Cregan, you can tell that he was side-eyeing him a little bit. You're bringing up this history? Yeah, I get it. Torn bent the knee because your fucking
It's
ancestor
also
had
a
a giant
blessing in
dragon.
disguise. I think he had the Starks on the line, but like, I feel like if you get the news of a dead little brother, like, you gotta kind of join their army, right?
Yeah, no, you think that maybe he was, like, as he was crying, he was like looking out of his eye, like, is he feeling bad for me? Is this working?
So, can we get 3,000?
We're gonna bump
Maybe.
those numbers up, right, dead brother?
Yeah, can we get like at least 20%, 18 to 35, or how are these demographics looking out now?
Loan us some direwolves at least. We'll pay you back. Dragon eggs that you can't hatch. You hide them in the crypt.
Yeah, one day John will come. Don't know what to do with him.
And the lore of talking about how Jaharis and Alicent, when they visited and the dragons wouldn't dare cross the wall. Once again, that's something that goes back to the written material, but it just pisses me off because that threat ended up being so underwhelming. But fun lore for people who have read the books and who are really into all that stuff. And I know that gets the fans really excited just to hear those names and hear them talk about those moments, because it just makes everything feel a bit more real for everybody who's invested so much time into reading the books and going beyond that and reading into the lore.
That's me. I love that shit.
Yeah, it's fun. I think more so I just roll my eyes because of the way that the show ended and the whole speech when he's talking about the wall and what it stands for. I'm like, oh, give me a fucking break. R.I.P. Halfhand, though. Yeah, but Ewan Mitchell is just those characters are always my favorite in shows like this because they feel like anime characters. And even the way that Matt Smith plays Daemon, once again, doesn't have really that much to do in this episode. But it would be interesting to see how his relationship unfolds with Rhaenyra after the blood and cheese incident. But I love when these actors really ham it up, and I think those characters are given the most material to ham it up, but they make the most of it. And I think a lot of people have really enjoyed Ewan Mitchell as Aemon, and that's why, even though Team Green, they're despicable, I tend to like them more at this point, just because they're more enjoyable. I wouldn't want to be friends with them, but they've got the freaks on their side. It's a freaky roster there with the two Targaryen freak brothers and Loras, and even Alicent and Kristen. Like, they're all just so fucked up. And Otto's like, look at this fucking batch of batshit crazy motherfuckers I gotta deal with.
Right. And I think
Team Black's more traditional. They're a bit more boring. Like, even when Corlys, they're like, oh, there's Corlys again.
Yeah, Corlys is great. I mean, Daemon's the only one that's kind of like a little sketchy, but like, he's cool sketchy.
Yeah, right.
It's like he can commit crimes and people are just like, yeah, hell yeah, Daemon, do your thing. But yeah,
people
that's what I was saying before.
Daemon
like,
get away with anything.
The whole like black and green thing coming into it is kind of ridiculous when you line up the characters. Which I think after this episode, I think Helena's reaction and everything like that will be more sympathetic. Aegon's response and Aemon's, because like you said before, Aemon, it could be viewed as an accident, and Alicent is always, obviously we know different, but you can kind of play it off as trying to protect her family and things like that, and being pulled in so many directions, especially with her father. You can really point to Otto as being like the one true manipulative evil being, even though I don't think he's like traditionally evil in the way of like a Joffrey or a Ramsay or something like that. So I think there is some wiggle room, but I just wish, like I said before, like Aegon, which is a little bit more, doesn't have to be a good guy, but he just doesn't have to be like irredeemably bad. And I think in this world and in this show, like shit like what Daemon does, it's like easier to forgive or root for because it's like cool in the moment. And he's a character who went out in war by himself, and he has the meme when he's looking at the Raven message. So you're like, that's just Daemon.
And then he beat the shit out of the messenger. What the hell?
Yeah, I've learned that's a big thing that people don't really take to heart. Don't kill the messenger.
Well, you know what? With Alicent,
King Leonidas fucking booted that boy right into the fucking
yeah,
right into the well.
field goal punted him.
Spinning back kick.
That dude was Wilhelm screaming into the fucking
Doing fucking tricks on
it. Whoa.
it.
Yeah, the tension between Alicent and Otto in the small council meetings, he's frustrated because she was reluctant to go for the kill when they had the opportunity, because he was really pushing that. Listen, if you want to end this quickly, we need to kill Rhaenyra. I have nothing against Rhaenyra personally. I think she's great, but this is war. This is the game we're playing. So I do wonder if, because some of the complaints of season 1 from people who were more familiar with the material was that Alicent was always reacting to other people rather than taking that initiative. So I wonder if maybe she'll be a bit more assertive, and that's not necessarily a good thing for their cause, but she becomes, as I said, just a bit more sure of herself, of what she wants to do, and more willing to go to those darker places in order to achieve the victory that she envisions, where it can't be Rhaenyra bending the knee. It's either us or them. It's kill or be killed, as Cersei Lannister put it so perfectly and iconically. God, I miss her. And I want to see Alicent. She's different from Cersei. She just is, even in the written stuff. But maybe trend more towards that direction, where not every decision she makes is the wisest, but at the very least, it's something that she came up with on her own, and then she wants to enact because she has that power. So that's a dynamic to keep your eye on, and I think that there are going to be some changes all around. So whereas I didn't love the changes that they made with such an iconic moment at the end of the episode, there's just room to add in more dramatic moments and to give these characters a bit more depth through those changes.
They're calling Blood and Cheese the Home and Loan burglars.
That's really what it felt like. The way that they were going back. Like, I needed 2 freakazoids on the same exact page. We are going to kill a child. And that's how you build it up. Like, man, these guys are going to fucking kill a child. They just seem like dopes. You could be a little goofy, but they just seem dumb. I'm glad you didn't like it. I was like, I hope Aaron doesn't like this moment.
Doesn't come in with my fucking cheese plate.
Yeah. Luckily, just cheese.
Blood of Christ.
Okay, right. I really wish too that they never call him Blood, right? I think that the closed captions say that his name is Blood.
Had Blood and Cheese, yeah.
It would have been funny if Damon was like, "Yo, what up, Blood?" That's something Damon would say. I feel like Matt Smith could actually pull that off.
Or they had like a solo moment. Man, you're mad cheesy.
We're gonna call you Chuck. Yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to hear what your boys think after you really hype this up. Have you gotten any messages from them yet?
No, I mean, it's my brother's crew, so they'll have to go through him.
Oh, you got to go through the back channels.
I'm sure. I think. I don't know. I feel like for some people, it's going to be just as horrifying, because if you really weren't expecting anything, like the sound effects of beheading a child is still pretty fucked up when you think about it.
Yeah, it was. I could have used like 12 frames of just the knife on the neck, just like oh fuck, they just slit that kid's throat. Because for all we know, they could have just faked it. They were straight up just trying to cut this fucking kid's head off. That was fucked up. Oh, what I really loved is people being scared of the dragons and not knowing which dragon it was. That's something that was really missing from those final seasons of Game of Thrones. Everybody just kind of took the dragons for what they were, but when they're off in the distance, you have no idea. Vagar's huge, but far off, it could be anybody. And they just panic, and then they'd be like, "Oh no, false alarm! That's our dragon." And I wish that one of the dragons still would have ate somebody, just impulsively because they're a fucking dragon. Like, no, it's fine, it's Rhaenyra. Ah!
I also liked when he's hearing the small folk out. Like, he seems like he's trying to be a good king.
Yeah, he's just got this idea of, oh sure, just do whatever they want.
All you want is goats? All right, here's some goats.
Oh yeah, sure. No, sheep? Yeah, no, we got sheep.
And the scorpions were a cool touch.
Oh, right, yeah, the scorpions. Otto walking to the throne every time Aegon made a decision was kind of funny.
It was.
It's like the Prince of Dorne asking for their sovereignty. Yeah, why not?
And the Roiner was included in the titles.
Yeah, the Roiner, right?
I think they did it last season, but it's always shout out to the Roiner.
Yeah, they did do it last season. Shout out Ryan Condal. It was really funny when they did their big premiere in Paris. They were all dressed to the nine, and Ryan Condal was there just in pants and a button down. He looked like a substitute math teacher.
I'm interested to see the first big battle sequence and if Miguel Sapochnik's presence is going to be missed when it comes to the direction.
Oh, yeah, right.
Moments.
He's not directing any episode this season. I know episode 2 is being directed by Claire Kilner, who did some of my favorite episodes in season 1. And this one was done by HBO veteran, Game of Thrones veteran Alan Taylor. So I'm a little disappointed in you, Alan, and Ryan, and George.
George. Yeah. Anything bad with Game of Thrones, I'm always just going to blame George from now on. Just fucking finish it.
Oh, I've made total peace with it. I made peace with it to a point where the other day I realized, like, I would read it if it came out, but there was a point where I would I thought I would drop everything and read it. That would be my full attention. I don't think it would be that anymore. I would, like I said, I would pick it up. I would take my time with it, but I'm not eager. I'm not being bitter about it, but it's just what it is, sort of thing.
I used to spend hours on Wikipedia studying just to get ready for the book, and it just never came out. I was just rereading the Song of Ice and Fire wiki for like hours before bed. It's like 3 a.m, learning about fucking nonsense.
Because I saw a report the other day. It was like, oh, Winds of Winter is going to release after House of the Dragon season 2, and it didn't get me at all. I just thought, man, remember when I was that person who actually believed these things?
In 2016?
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's fun. That takes me back. But how sick would it be if it dropped? No, I'm just kidding.
It's like with Marvel now. It's like, yeah, I mean, I'll go see the movie eventually.
Right.
Actually,
right.
Maybe even not. But yeah, I would read the book.
No,
but
yeah,
it wouldn't
that's
be
tough.
like, I wouldn't be there if it was like midnight release, Barnes and Noble's camping out.
To tell you the truth, I might just like skip around it. Just like, I just want to see what the fuck happened, man.
Just read the last page of every chapter.
Yeah. Where's John? There he is. First John chapter. Let's go. Ghost chapter? That would be actually fucking crazy, dude. You open the book and it's fucking ghost chapter, John's consciousness inside a ghost.
Yeah, they would do that shit like in some fucking prologue where, like they did with fucking Sixskins.
Oh, right, yeah. That was a great prologue. What the fuck?
It's a fucking badass name, too.
Yeah, George got those nicknames, man. He can name a thing. All right, well, is anything else you want to add about this episode? Any last thoughts?
Did we miss anything?
We got dragons. We got Kristen Cole giving some dome. The twins. Remember the twins?
He's probably not.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, he seems like someone who's not good at it, but tells everyone he is.
Oh, yeah. Allison didn't know better because...
Yeah, she had fucking Viserys. Just like a bowl of oatmeal.
No, he seems like he's a bull in a china shop when it comes to that. He's got no finesse. Needs to go to the George Costanza school.
You see his whack-ass haircut in the preview for next episode?
No, he's got a new cut?
Yeah, he's got like a bowl cut.
Kristen?
Yeah.
It's funny, his fit at the premiere was just awful. He looked like a 1920s Wall Street broker. So goofy. Emma Darcy looked fucking amazing. I was like, yo, Emma could be the next James Bond. Some people just got it. That also frustrates me. I know that Rhaenyra's character is not supposed to be serving looks. But Emma Darcy was just walked on the red carpet, put on their sexy face. It was unbelievable to watch it in real time. I couldn't believe that they went from just having this big smile, enjoying the moment, and as soon as the camera started flashing, a gaze that could fucking burn a hole through the wall. I was shook. And I do wish, it feels like sometimes these actors, they're not being used to the best of their abilities. Like The Rock, why can't The Rock be a fucking villain? Now he's doing dumbass, melodramatic A24 movies.
Going for that Oscar. I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that, it's a classic setup episode, and people will say you can't be too harsh on it until you see the rest of the season, but just reviewing it as a single episode, I just have to be honest with how I felt about it. And I think that's sometimes the problem with TVs and why I sometimes prefer movies, because you get these setup episodes that are not necessarily filler, but they're setting shit up, and it's not as exciting.
I think it's the best way to put it. It's a standard episode 1 that could have delivered more in some of the bigger moments.
It could have been an all-timer. And maybe it is for a lot of people.
I'm not jumping off the ship. I'm not being like, oh, they ruined House of the Dragon. It's a fine episode. Could have been better. But I'm excited for the next 7 weeks because I live for fucking Sunday night, 9 p.m. HBO shows, especially when it's Song of Ice and Fire related.
Yeah, and I said before we started recording that I wanted to be the only YouTuber that becomes more woke as the years go on. So I was disappointed in the lack of wokeness, and I mean that sincerely. So, get on that, Ryan Condal.
That's I like that bit.
Out of my woke meter, I give this like a 3 out of 10. And they don't even bring up what Caitlin Clark is doing in the WNBA. She's changing the women's game, and they don't even give her a shout out. Rhaenyra or Allison, they're supposed to be feminist icons. Whatever. So stupid. All right, I guess that does it for our review of House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 1, A Son for a Son. We will be back probably later this week. Maybe with Teddy, maybe not. But I'm going to text him. I'm going to see what he's doing. Yeah, I'm going to see if he's watched. He's going to be shocked to know that the only person in the world who's oblivious to that marketing campaign.
He's not going to remember a fucking thing from Season 1.
If Viserys is dead? Fucking love Viserys.
Where's Jon?
Jon looks fucking weird. That's Jon in the first scene? Thought he was a
Oh no, it's a prequel. That's young Jon. That's young Jon. Okay.
Young Jon. Can you imagine? I wouldn't put it past him, honestly.
Young Jon, but he's exactly like Little Jon.
Oh, like yeah, that Little Jon.
Not Little Jon Humber.
It's just Little Jon being bullied by Sansa.
Actually, Little Jon Humber is a great bit. It's a great it's a great Twitter account. Dude, that would have been fucking pop. That would have been a hit during like season 6.
Oh, dude, 8 years ago, that Twitter account's getting like 117,000 followers, and then slowly loses them as the years go on. But at the time, it was, what a bit.
7 years too late. Damn it.